We're looking again at angels today. We started yesterday by looking at angels, but we're going to look at some general categories of the type of angels that Scripture describes. So again, we're not giving a full-blown theology on angels, but we're hitting some highlights. One of the things we know that there seems to be no indication that they reproduce. Jesus at one point tells us that we will one day be like angels in the sense that we will not marry or give in marriage. We will not have children in eternity, and angels don't either. So angels are not reproducing creatures. They're never called a race of people. There are a race of angels. What they are called is a host. So there is a limited created number of angels that the Lord has created, and there will be apparently no more angels created. They're a host of angels. So they do not reproduce, but they are eternal. They will live on forever. Some will be punished. The demonic angels will be punished. The angelic angels, the holy angels, will serve the Lord throughout eternity. And we know that one of the things they do in heaven is they worship the Lord. And so we find in both the Old and New Testament that they are worshipers of God. In the book of Jude, we're just kind of looking at categories of angels. There seems to be, as we piece the pictures together in Scripture, a number of different hierarchies, perhaps, of angels. Some angels are more important than others, more powerful, apparently, than others. Again, we're not given a lot of details on that. There's only two angels ever given names in the Scriptures, Michael and Gabriel. And every time we run into Gabriel, he is giving a message of some kind to somebody, such as Mary and different ones. When we run into Michael, he seems to be a more powerful angel. Matter of fact, in Jude 9, he's called the archangel, but Michael the archangel, when he was disputing with the devil. Now, we'll come back to this verse perhaps tomorrow, but notice he's the archangel. He's the only one called an archangel, and he's called that a couple of times in the Scriptures. So he seems to be the highest of the angelic orders, the captain, the general, whatever you want to call that, of the angelic world. So Michael has that power, and he also apparently has the power even to control Satan and throw Satan, change Satan up. We'll talk about that a little later as well, perhaps. But concerning other angels, we know in Scripture there's mentions of principalities and powers and dominions and so forth that may be describing demonic angels, but may also be describing angels that are the elect angels or the holy angels. There's some other categories are mentioned in Scripture, though. There are the cherubim. The cherubim and we think of a cherub, for example, a little chubby baby. That's what we have as our pictures, the old artwork. But they're anything but little chubby babies. They're powerful, unbelievably magnificent creatures of God. We find them especially in the book of Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 1, if you want to read a passage there about them, also chapter 25, we see magnificent creatures that are described. These are powerful, powerful creatures and way up on the hierarchy of God's great angels. There's also seraphim, and we find them especially in Isaiah chapter 6, a very well-known passage where Isaiah gets to see God and Jehovah, perhaps Christ himself, and all of his glory on his throne, and he's being worshipped by seraphim day and night. So these are another powerful set of angels that are identified and mentioned in Scripture. There is the angel of the Lord found throughout much of the Old Testament. And if you look carefully at the angel of the Lord in the Old Testament, we believe this is a description of Christ himself prior to his incarnation. So Christ takes on a form of an angel. Sometimes he looks like a man. Sometimes he looks like an angelic creature. But when we put the pieces together, we find this is no ordinary angel. This is an angel that does the things God does. He's an angel that is worshipped. And so we believe in the Old Testament, the angel of the Lord was none other than Christ himself. In the book of Revelation, we have chapter 4, we have the 24 elders. Whether they're a separate host of beings that God has created, separate from an angelic host, or whether they're part of the angelic host, we don't know, but there's 24 of them that apparently have some great power. You can check them out in the book of Revelation. As I mentioned just a moment ago, we have only Michael and Gabriel who are mentioned by name. We would certainly assume all the angels have names, but only those two are mentioned and given to us. So the other names you might have heard of before, like Raphael and some others, these are names been given by people, usually in their writings, such as Paradise Lost or something like that, that has come down throughout time as if we know the names. But we don't know that. We don't know their names, so we have to be very careful with that. We don't know. God didn't tell us, so we don't need to know, but we do know those two. So that's some things that we know about angels. Tomorrow we're going to move on to the satanic world, the demonic world, and take a look at those creatures as well.